Welcome to this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. On today's program, we're talking recycling, specifically what you can do to help the process flow a little smoother, as well as things to think about in your normal day-to-day activities that can help make Suffolk a cleaner, greener place to be. Stay tuned. Welcome back to On the Scene. We're joined now by the Litter Control Coordinator with the City of Suffolk, Wayne Jones, to talk about recycling. And specifically, certainly the City of Suffolk provides curbside recycling for residents, and we want to find a way to make that a better process. But it's just one tool in the recycling arsenal, so to speak, for ways that we can all contribute to kind of put less in the landfill and do more to kind of be greener and cleaner with the environment,
That's
correct?
Right, yeah.
So let's focus first up on the curbside recycling as far as what maybe some of the misconceptions are about what can or should be going in the blue bin versus what does or how that process works. If you could talk a little about that.
Yeah, it is confusing.
Yes.
And people want to do the right thing.
Of course.
And I've got some examples.
Sure.
So contamination issue is a big one. And when we talk about contamination, we're talking about things that shouldn't go in the bin. In the blue bin.
Yes.
So this is the number one. Plastic bags. These tangle in the equipment at the plant and cause issues in the process. So we want to definitely keep these out. This is a no.
Got it.
This is another one that gets people confused because it's cardboard.
Yep.
It's cardboard, but it does have grease in it, so it's what we call soiled. So we wouldn't put this in the recycling bin either, because it's not clean cardboard.
And that's not something you could even clean to get it into there, right?
No.
Making it wet or anything like that is not really going to solve the problem.
Yeah, you always get the grease on the bottom, sometimes on the top.
Of course.
If there was no grease on the top, you could tear it.
And
if you so inclined, you could put one in one and one in the other.
I understand.
So that one's another confusing one.
Yes.
We get a lot of pet food bags.
Yeah.
They, again, don't go in the recycling bin. Okay, we want to keep these out.
Is that because of the type of material or what's inside? Because I know sometimes you get that little pet.
It's just the type of material.
Type of material, okay.
Yeah, no bags of any kind.
Okay, all right.
So that's another common one.
Yep.
And then egg cartons.
That's a no-no?
That's a no-no.
Okay, all right.
These are all no's. That's a no.
Okay.
Even though it's...
Oh, okay.
Yep. We get a lot of these kind of solo cups. That's a no.
Okay.
All right.
And again, that's because of the type of plastic that it is, right?
Yes. And yes and no.
Okay.
This one is actually a 7. You know, you have the triangle, 1 through 7.
Correct.
This one is a 7.
Yes.
Some cups are 2s, but again, they're not recyclable. Just because it's a 1 or a 2 doesn't always mean it's acceptable in curbside recycling processing. So no to all cups.
Got it.
Okay. No to all cups.
All right.
Styrofoam is another big one.
Okay.
Keep that out.
Okay.
That, again, goes in your green can.
Right.
So that's a lot of no's.
Yes. Let's talk about some yeses, right?
Let's talk about the positive side.
The positive side, yes.
Absolutely. So these are your aluminum can, tin can, steel can. That is all acceptable in curbside recycling. The bottles are acceptable in curbside recycling too. Just take the lids off.
Take the lids off.
Put them in the trash.
Now, how much cleaning do you,
Sure.
Do you need to rinse it out? If so, drip dry it? What's the best way to present that for recycling?
Just pour it out, pour the liquid out, make sure there's no liquids in. If it's like a peanut butter jar, probably best to rinse that. Because it's going to contaminate the other items in the truck.
What about the label on, say, for example, the peanut butter jar or the soda bottle? Do you want to take the labels off or leave them on? Or
you can leave them on.
You can leave them on.
You can leave them on. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. Got it.
Medicine is another one we see a lot of. This is a no. Okay.
Right.
Sorry. So keep all the medicines out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now I know that's a vitamin, so vitamins would fall in the same category as well. Okay.
Yeah. Anything like that.
Got it. Okay. All right.
Definitely. Get met to the yeses. Glass is acceptable.
Okay.
You can put all kinds of glass in. That's fine.
Okay.
And then we have newspapers and magazines. That's all fine. Even the glossy magazines.
Even the glossy. Okay.
Yeah, put them in your blue can. That's great. If it's a book with a hard binding, you want to keep. That's not acceptable. The binding is not, but the pages would be. So if you can separate it, you can. That's fine.
Okay.
But no books in the blue.
What about general mail? You get letters and things, correspondence, and a lot of things are electronic. So email, we're not talking about that.
Sure.
But mail in that sense, is that something that can be put in there as far as a paper product, or are we looking more at newspaper? And you talk about the magazine type content.
Mail is fine. Yeah.
It is fine.
Yep, mail is fine. I would say though that if you get the envelope with the little plastic window, that would be a contamination issue right there. The little plastic window.
What if you took off the plastic window?
That'd be fine.
That'd be fine.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just looking at options.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yes.
We do get, you get products. They come in packaging.
Correct.
And you got a bit of cardboard, which is fine to
Yep.
put in the blue can, but then it's got this plastic thing, which is much like the plastic window.
Right.
Take it off, put the
Then we're
plastic
good to go.
in the trash, and the little piece of cardboard
Got
you
it.
could
Okay.
recycle.
All right.
But yeah, that's so in terms of recycling, we're looking for paper, cardboard, aluminum, tin, and steel.
Okay.
And then we've got our plastics bottles,
Right.
1s and 2s. But don't be confused, because a cup might have a 2, but it's
Right.
not recyclable.
Now, and you mentioned that, and just so we're clear, you talked about the triangle, and a lot of things we
Sure.
see, we think, and I think this is a lot of the misconceptions. Well, you know, it's paper or it's cardboard or it's this or
Yes.
whatever material or plastic. I'm going to put it in there.
Right.
But like you said, like looking at that little triangle symbol, you're saying 1s and 2s, but not all 2s would qualify, correct?
Right. Yeah.
And I know some people are thinking, man, this is just, you just gotten this much more complicated than what I thought
know,
it was.
yeah.
But really, once you get in the habit of it, it's pretty simple.
And that's what it is. Yeah,
Right.
it's just forming a habit, understanding what is and isn't recyclable in the curbside stream.
Yes. Yes.
And we do have tools available.
Right, okay.
If you go to Ask HR Green,
Okay.
which is our regional website, just type in recycling, and you can find recycling information for every single locality in Hampton
Okay.
Roads. It's a really good tool. Tells you the do's and don'ts, and it really does help clear that kind of stuff up.
And I know certainly everyone, or a lot of people have good intentions,
Sure.
you know, and I would think two things out of that. One, the philosophy of, well, I'm just going to put it in the blue can and let them figure it out.
Yeah.
They got machines, they got people, they have processes that take care of that. But really, that's not the best way to go about things, correct?
Yeah. If you're unsure,
Yeah.
don't put it in.
Don't put it in.
Because you're creating a contamination issue, which is keep that in the green
Got it.
can. Any kind of
Got it.
doubts. Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thing, and I've heard stories of this, people will wash their bottles, handle things the
Sure.
proper way, get it all nice and neat and ready to go, and then put it inside a plastic bag, and then put
Yeah.
the plastic bag inside the blue.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
No, don't bag in recyclables.
Right,
No,
right.
plastic bags.
Yes.
I can't stress enough. Let's
Correct.
keep the plastics out.
Right.
Out.
and again, in situations where, for example, and I don't know if this comes into play, but you can tell me, if you have one person who is, cleaning everything and doing everything the right way and getting everything ready to be recycled,
Right.
they put it in their blue container, it gets dumped.
Yep.
And then the next person comes behind and he or she maybe didn't do the right thing. They got the pizza box in there, or they got maybe a spaghetti sauce jar. The lid's off, but then you still got sauce in there and it's flopping around or whatever like that. Does person A potentially contaminate person B's stuff in the truck, or is it really, obviously everything's not isolated
Sure.
out by
I see where
person,
you're going.
but you throw everything in one hopper,
Yep.
you get some commingling there of clean and not clean. How does that
You
typically
do,
work?
and unfortunately, some of it would not
Some,
be.
yeah.
Person A wouldn't have their stuff recycled.
Right.
Maybe what person B had done, but it does get sorted,
Yes.
and it is cleaned to
Right, okay.
a good degree. But we want to do as much as we can
Yes.
upstream, if you know what I mean. So let's get the right stuff in the blue can.
Right.
Any doubts, let's put it in the green can.
Got it.
And then hopefully, as over time, habits will form.
Yep.
And it will just become second nature.
Got it.
But for that full list of what you can and can't,
Yes.
go visit the Ask HR Green. It's also on the City of Suffolk website.
Perfect.
And it really is helpful.
Okay.
But yeah.
But and to be also clear on something else, I know we haven't mentioned it, but sometimes maybe people are confused. There's when people talk about making their own fertilizer with yard clippings and things like that,
Right.
that's still not going in the blue container.
No green
Right,
debris.
right.
Okay, yeah. If you want to make compost, keep your grass clippings
Got
in
it,
your yard
got
and
it.
stuff like that. But yeah, don't put that kind of stuff in
Okay.
the blue bin. No clothing, no electronics.
Right.
All of that stuff you can send somewhere else,
Right,
like clothing,
right,
Goodwill,
right.
Electronics, Goodwill, or
Yeah.
wherever Habitat
Got
for
it.
Humanity.
Got it.
But not in curbside recycling.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, cardboard boxes. I know we just got through Christmas,
Yes.
so there was a lot of that going on.
Yes.
What is the best way that you get your box from Amazon or whoever?
Yep.
It's taped up.
It is.
And you open it up. You take out your item. You've got maybe some packing material. Sometimes there's that big wad of paper that's kind of in there to keep
Yes.
it nestled in there. I assume that paper would be potential.
Yes.
Right? Assuming it's just wrapped like that.
Yes.
But the box itself, do you want to take off the tape and smush it and kind of collapse it a little bit, or for space as well as getting the tape off of there? Is that a foreign material?
You can.
Okay.
The tape is not. They don't really want the tape.
Yeah.
But it's not
It's
the
not a
end
deal
of the
breaker.
world.
Yeah,
it's
right.
not the end of the world.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when it comes to wrapping paper,
Yes.
if it's really thin wrapping paper, that wouldn't be good for
Okay.
recycling.
Okay.
Okay, just want proper thick fibrous paper.
Got it.
That can, because if you imagine the process, they're taking a material and they're turning it into another material.
Correct.
So if it's really thin, like tissue paper,
Not a lot to work with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, right, right.
You want
right.
the fibers.
Something a little more substantial that
Right,
you've got something
yeah.
you can, because I mean in the process I'm sure it gets degraded or reduced so where you don't have much left to really do anything with, correct?
Exactly,
Got
yeah.
it,
That's
got
the
it.
thinking there. Yeah.
Got it, got
Yes.
it. And I know that in the past we've gone to our recycling partner, current recycling partner, TFC
Yes.
Recycling, to talk about and see their process and everything. And we've talked about a lot of these things before, but you know, people, you talk about habits. I think
Right.
that's a great one, or misconceptions about what goes in, what does not, and whatever. And really, it can be pretty simple.
Yeah.
And really is.
Yes.
I mean, you've laid it out here, but again, but like you said, if there's a question, either check the website.
Yes.
They can also reach out to your office as far as we'll present the email and the contact
Yep.
phone number later on is also to discuss that. But like you said, if you're in doubt, go ahead and just put it in the green.
Yes.
Green can, and then handle it that way. Not that we want everything going there, but
No.
certainly there are definitely things that can be captured in the blue container,
Yes.
can be recycled, and are helping the system and everything work the way the system should,
right.
which again, everybody benefits from that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't stress enough. If you're unsure,
Right.
put it in the green can.
Got it.
Reach out to us.
Yes.
And we'll happily answer your questions.
Very good.
Yep.
Now, we just talked about curbside recycling. Now, obviously, there are other ways that you can recycle things. You talked
Yes.
about, if you have clothing and things, bring it to Goodwill, or electronics and things. But what are some of the other things that could be recycled, not through the curbside,
Right.
but that actually something can be done with and ways to do that? I know we do provide some recycling
We do,
opportunities as well, but if you could talk a little bit about that in concept and in practice.
Yeah, sure. So like little household batteries,
Yes.
you can take to the library. They recycle them. The plastic bags, the library again have a recycling
Okay.
program. Drop them off there.
Right.
Electronics and clothing would go to Goodwill or
Correct.
a charity.
Right.
Send them through there.
Right.
There's a good charity in town, Therapy for Kids. They accept toys, donations like
Right,
that,
right.
food donations even. So yeah, there are a lot of alternatives to recycling through the
Right.
curbside system.
Right.
And we also host recycling drives.
Correct.
Yep, a couple every year.
Right.
And you can bring all those items to the recycling drive, and we will make sure they get to the right place.
Got it. And then some of those recycling drives also include tires and things like
That's
that. So
right.
there's a wide variety of things
Yes.
that, again, are not covered with the curbside
Yes.
recycling, but opportunities to get them and get them funneled to the right agencies or organizations all through that one kind of drop-off point that you create.
That's right. Yeah, it's
Right.
more than just a recycling drive.
Right,
Like
yeah.
tire amnesty is what we call it.
Yes.
We accept the tires.
Yes.
We want to get them out of the environment.
Correct.
They lead to mosquitoes, all kinds of issues.
Right.
Help people get rid of their tires.
Yep.
Household hazardous waste is another
Yes.
example.
Yes.
If you've got motor oil, gasoline, CFL light bulbs, things that you kind of acquire and you're not quite sure how to get rid of, but
Right.
you don't want going directly to the landfill.
That's correct.
Bring them to the drive. The next
it.
one's on May 2nd.
May 2nd, okay.
9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll be in downtown in the Lowe's parking lot.
Got it, okay.
And we'll do another couple throughout the year that we
Perfect.
haven't announced just yet. But
Great.
they can find all that information on the website
Okay.
for the city and askhrgreen.org.
And of course, a lot of those recycling drives are done in conjunction and through the work of the Clean Community Commission, which
That's
functions
right.
here in the city of
That's-
Suffolk.
yep.
And the men and women that are part of that organization, and I know you work with as a liaison, really do a lot of great work in the community to get the word out, host events like we're talking
Yes.
about, and kind of serve as another means by which people can stay green and do some of the
That's right.
recycling and keep things from going to the landfill, right?
Yes. And the Clean Community Commissioners
Yes.
are all volunteers.
Yes.
So they do a great job.
Right.
They've been doing the recycling drives for a long, long time, and the community does appreciate them.
Right.
We always get a lot of people come out, and it's great. It's a great resource to have. So May 2nd is our next one.
Got it. We're looking forward to that. And certainly be promoting that on social media, on the website, and
Yes.
through other means. So we'll definitely be getting that
Right.
word out. So we're not just mentioning it here, certainly. But one other thing that people need to kind of consider when we're talking about this, the whole recycling or keeping things out of the landfill approach to things, is creating less waste from our
Yes.
own habits, functions, whatever.
Yeah.
And can you talk a little bit about that? I know you
Certainly.
have some examples of some things that might help in that process.
Yeah, well, recycling is part of that triangle that
Sure.
we talk about. Recycle, reduce, reuse. Waste reduction is a great way to change habits. Nobody's perfect, but we do live in a very convenient culture where
Yes.
we have, plastic forks, spoons, things like this, coffee
Yeah.
cups, and we really want to start making people change their habits. You know, their buying habits.
Right.
Just to think before you buy, because you're not just buying an item, you're buying the packaging that comes with
That's
it.
right.
So if, for example, you know, you take your coffee cup into, you know, wherever you get your coffee,
Yes.
and fill that up. So then that's one less coffee cup to
Got
worry
it.
about. Bags, I'm always forgetting my bags when I go to the store. So
Right.
I got one on my key ring, which really has saved me many times.
Yes.
So it's really useful. But yeah, again, you know, plastic bags.
Correct.
Are a problem, but if you got your own bag, makes life easier. A straw, if you want to, you know, if you need a straw, you can take them with you.
In some places, some restaurants have gone to the step of, unless you're not providing a straw automatically, it's sometimes on request.
Yes, they
unless
might
people,
ask
of course,
you,
bring their own.
as
Right.
opposed to giving them out.
Right. Little things, but it all adds up when you put it
Exactly.
all in one hopper, so to speak. Right.
Yeah. I mean, I organise a lot of cleanups for the
Yes.
city.
Yes, you
and
do.
we do a lot of river cleanups, and a lot of these items end up in our rivers.
Correct.
We pick up straws,
Yeah.
you know, bottle caps,
Right.
coffee cups, all kinds of things.
A lot of larger items too.
A lot of larger items too, yeah, but it's the small ones that take
Yes.
time. And
Yes.
if you've ever had a styrofoam cup that's broken down and you've spent the time to pick it up, get it out of the environment, it takes forever.
Does it?
Styrofoam,
Yeah.
it really does break down into thousands of pieces. And anybody that's done it knows what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's not fun. But yeah, if you can cut out the styrofoam, you know, pick one or two things that
Correct.
you can do,
Right.
make a difference, think before you buy. And like the plastic forks and knives, get yourself a, you know, I know it's plastic,
Right.
but you can use it hundreds of
Right.
times.
And it's a reusing instead of going through a set every time you. Yeah.
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
and it's great for kids,
Yep.
and it gets them thinking too. And you start to sow some seeds right there,
Correct.
and they've got their, you know, reusable plastic.
Got it.
So hopefully, when they grow up,
Right.
won't even be an issue. You
Right.
know,
And I know there's a lot of education efforts that you and others are doing with kids in school,
Yes.
and sort of you catch them while they're young, and
Yes.
a lot of the kids bring that information home, which is good.
Yeah.
So parents, listen to what your children
Right,
have
yeah.
to say. You
Kids
know,
are good for that.
And as far as bringing that information home and getting people to think about habits and processes, and maybe making this choice rather than that choice, because again, if more and more people are doing that, again, it adds up.
It does.
And that's the critical thing.
It does, and
Yeah.
it's inspiring to others, and it's, you know, these are resources
Right.
at the end of the day, and going green, it's not just, you know, an environmental thing, it's resources, it's good, it's, you know, it's good for the country, it's good locally, and it's just the right thing to do.
Now, you mentioned, I want to key back into this, you mentioned the fact that there's a couple of river cleanups throughout the year.
Yes.
And a lot of partners come together with
They
that.
do, yeah.
And I think that's interesting that you do that because, again, people don't think, well, especially if you're not using the waterways or not around the water, you don't think
Yeah.
about it.
No.
But again, the cup that gets thrown out of the window here, the wind blows it there, it gets moved over here. Next thing you know, it's in the water, and it's causing not only a pollution element, which is unsightly, but also potentially damaging the environment because of what kind of contents and things are in there.
Yep.
You hear stories about the plastic, the ring things for 6 packs of soda and stuff
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
I know some people have gone to the boxes rather than those when those get in there and fish and other animals get caught up in there.
Yep.
But talk about some of the efforts that you and the folks with the Clean Community Commission and people in the city are doing in that respect.
Certainly, yeah. We do several river cleanups a year. The next one's March 28th.
Okay.
Yep, we'll be down there at Constance Wharf.
All right.
Canoes, kayaks, people on land. We have a really good turnout.
Right.
It's getting stronger. More and more people are coming out. It's a lot of fun as well. You know, lots of people
Sure.
around, jokes,
Right.
and cleaning up at the same time.
Yes.
But yes, these items, they get into the storm drain systems, they make it through our creeks, then they wind up in like the wetland areas. And as we're walking through these wetland areas that you don't really notice, but
Right.
once you're in there,
Yeah.
there is tons and tons of plastic in there.
Yeah.
And we're slowly getting it out. But again, if it's being thrown out the window,
Right.
it's just getting back into the system.
Correct.
So we really do want to remind people that
Right.
that's ultimately where those items are going. It becomes pollution.
Correct.
And it can also clog up storm drains,
That's right.
lead to flooding,
Yep.
all kinds of
Unintended
issues.
consequences, but
Yeah.
consequences nonetheless.
Yes, yeah, and it's it's expensive to
That's
clean
right.
these things up. But yeah,
And we all want a clean city. I mean, I don't think anybody would say, no, I want my city to be dirty. No one's going to tell you that.
No.
And again, it's just taking the simple steps and thinking before you do certain things.
Yes.
And I mean, I think people, certainly there have been a lot of efforts out there to reduce this type of behavior. And, we do see that. It's not that we don't.
Right.
I mean, there are dents being made in that process,
Absolutely there
but
are,
there's
yeah.
still debris that you're finding, so it's
Yeah.
still out there.
And it's not all intentional
That's
either.
correct,
It's,
yeah.
if you've got a truck, for example, and you've got items in the truck, and it might blow
Yeah,
out, and
yeah.
it happens.
Right.
So try to keep your truck bed clean.
Correct.
Don't keep stuff in there that's going to fly out, because that's unintentional.
Right.
Again, don't bag the stuff in your blue bin
Right.
but bag the stuff that's,
That's right.
that's trash in your green can, because when that truck comes and it dumps, it's less likely to blow out.
Right.
And that keeps that locked in. So yeah, it's not all intentional, but items do get out there.
Sure.
And if anything we can do to kind of reduce it by not buying the stuff in the first place, with the heavy packaging, that's a great way to start.
And you talked about the recycling efforts that you and others are doing, but the fact that those are great opportunities for volunteer hours.
Yes, they are.
For high school students who,
yeah,
of course,
we really need the help.
Right, and then it's a win-win for everybody other than just the environment, but the student is getting the time, investing in their community,
That's right.
learning probably some very valuable lessons, and again, getting them to think about the fact that maybe then they won't be the next person to throw something away or do something
Exactly.
wrong.
Yeah, we really need the volunteer help.
Yes.
High school kids are awesome. They come out and they help us with the tires
Right.
and running to cars to unload. It's great for them. It looks good on their resumes. It's good for soft skill building
Sure.
too.
Sure.
Communicating with the public. We really appreciate their help.
Yeah.
And if anybody's interested,
Okay.
they can contact us.
And we mentioned the Ask HR Green website, and I know we'll put some screenshots of that up there, but that's a great resource now or whenever to go to, and it's a great partnership between all the communities in Hampton Roads to kind of come together to be a part of that, right?
Yeah, all 17 localities are involved with that. So you can, if you're interested in what's going on in York County, for example,
Right.
in regards to recycling, you can click on them and it takes you to their stuff.
Right.
For Suffolk, all of our stuff's up there.
Yes.
So it's a really good tool.
Right.
Because you might live here but work over there.
That's correct.
And you want to know what's recycling at work, it might be slightly different.
Right.
But yeah, Ask HR Green is a really good website for many other things too.
Right.
And one of the really cool things that they do is they have a mini grant program for teachers.
Right.
They can get up to $500, and they put the application in with their project, and it'll go to a committee. And if it's approved, a teacher can get the money to do their environmental project at school. One of the things that they will fund is a recycling program within the school system. They won't pay for the dumpster,
Right.
but they will pay for any other items that the classrooms might need to facilitate recycling in the
Got it.
classroom or the school.
Got it.
So it's a really good resource.
Good deal.
For our
So
teachers.
people can check that out. Now, we've been talking, and we mentioned earlier, there is an email address and a phone number
Yes.
that you'd like to give out as far as if people need more information, or have some comments or things, and you want to go and do that
Yeah, if
for
they
us?
have any questions, it's recycle@suffolkva.us, and the number's 514-7725.
Very good, very good. Well, Wayne, we appreciate your time today, sharing this great information and helping, again, continue to educate our residents as far as the proper way to do things when we're talking about recycling, and also get them to think just about some behavior changes in that respect. And again, the small things, as we keep saying, do add up. If everybody collectively is doing something and moving in that direction, we can really accomplish a lot of great things.
Absolutely.
Again, thanks for your time
Thank
today.
you.
Appreciate it. That will do it for this edition of On the Scene. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.